Hello and welcome back to another character creation video. My name's Lumin and today we're back in Throne and Liberty once more. This time for female character creation and customization. For those that perhaps don't know, Throne and Liberty is a free-to-play multi-platform MMORPG with an always changing environment, massive scale PvPvE, and the ability to transform into creatures to battle across land, sea, and air. On top of all of that, it has a pretty phenomenal character creation system. Some of the best looking models that I've seen in my time doing this. Now, if you'd like to do a deep dive to discover all there is to discover, you can find some links below, and as always there will be timestamps. For this video, we are going to have a quick look around the menu so I can just tell you what kind of features you can expect in the character creation system. Then we will jump into the presets available, then we'll do full customization, and then we'll randomize at the end. If you'd like to see the male video, the counterpart to this one, you can find a link below, and you can also find my full video down there too. Let us begin. First things first, you can change your character's expression. It's a useful thing to do, just to see what your character would look like in a different light. And speaking of a different light, lighting options. You can actually see them in a different light. It's kind of useful. I'll tell you right now, the cave that we're in right here, it has a pretty cool light, and it does affect the colors somewhat, so be sure to check your character in the different lighting to make sure you've got the colors right the way you want them. There is a system where you can see your history, customization history, so you can go forward and backwards, and you can reset as well. You can hide the UI if you'd like, and you can have your character's gaze follow the cursor. Also kind of useful. Kind of cool. Finally, you can share appearances, which is just great. Whenever you have a big system like this, being able to save, export a character, and show it to the internet at large, that's cool. It's just a nice extra, so I appreciate that. Now, as I mentioned, we're going to start with the presets. There's really very little to say about these presets other than that they are fantastic. They have a great selection here of different ethnicities, of different styles, of different everything. They did great with the presets. And I feel like this is one of few games where I would actually be happy with just picking a character straight off this list here and playing the game. Yeah. I mean, at most, I might pick a character here, perhaps add some markings, perhaps make the color of, say, as an example, the hair a little more vibrant or brighter or darker or whatever I prefer on the specific character, and then I'd jump in. For the most part, they've just made a really good selection of interesting characters. I mean, it helps that the characters look as good as they do. Like, the models that we're looking at here, I think they are some of the best that we've seen in recent years. Phenomenal. Absolutely amazing. The damn quality, like on the hair, on the texture work, the eyes are beautiful. Everything about this, the skin. Oh, I could talk about the skin alone for like an hour. It's really cool. It really is one of the better looking ones. And funny enough, it's taken a while, but I would say that Throne and Liberty has not so much dethroned, but joined Hogwarts Legacy at the top where hair quality is concerned, because I feel like they have a great balance between realism and overall visual appeal and aesthetics, you know? There are certain hairstyles in this character creation system right here that I feel are just so good that they should not be. They should not exist, because they make pretty much every other game look bad. Specifically, the double bun at the bottom here, I'll show you when we get there in just a moment. It is so cool. It is so nice. And this one, which very much reminds me of Aloy from Horizon Zero Dawn. I don't know, it's just the hairstyle that she has. This one. This is perhaps the best looking hairstyle I've seen in a video game. It's just perfect. It's perfect. It's perfect. Especially when you throw some nice color on there. Make it slightly more vibrant, full of life. But yeah, overall, the presets are a treat. And I would say, personally, it is more than enough. Now, the one thing, as we get to the end of the presets here, is that these are all ridiculously attractive characters. Like, it's got to be said. They made nothing but attractive characters. They didn't really make any older characters either. Slightly more withered looking characters. It's literally just a bunch of goddamn supermodels. That's the only criticism I would have, because you can actually make a character that's slightly older, that perhaps doesn't look like it belongs on the front of a fashion magazine. You can do that. You can do that, and that's good. Because, you know, inclusivity, representation, all the rest. It's important. You want people to be able to create something that they feel comfortable with. That said, we're going to take this one and jump in, mainly because we can see the ears. That's the main thing that I want to be able to spot, and we can see all the features of the face and, you know, the structure and stuff like that. Now, onto the customization. In here, we are going to be presented with a bunch of more presets. So they separate this whole thing into basically a quick template / preset selection versus full customization. And that's good, because that means that you can just zoom through this and pick a preset on almost every one, and then you don't have to fiddle around with sliders if you don't want to. I dig that. I like it when character creation systems respect our time and cater to pretty much everyone on the entire spectrum. You know, some people want to deep dive, some people just want to breeze through it. That's cool. Both ways are valid. Now, the presets here, you will notice that they are pretty much changing the entirety of the character. Now, you'll see that there are always a couple. There's like 2 or 3 that are the same with different skin tones and slightly different features, but they're the same face. So note that, and as we go through, you will see the face changes, then the features change along with it. And these are basically the bone structures of the face, the ethnicity, yeah, I would say the ethnicity of the face as well, and then a few other things mixed in, but it is a preset. So they're giving you this here, and they're taking it a step further than just a serve-in suggestion. They're actually giving you sort of a good starting point for what you pick in, and that's cool. That's nice. There's a decent selection here, and you have basically this many faces, because if you go to the next options here, you'll see these are the actual face structures that you pick in. You can see that the skin tone changes very slightly when you go through them, only barely, and it's mostly just the tone, the shade, the brightness and or darkness is about the same on all of them, but you get to pick your face structure here, and again, this is where you'll be picking your ethnicity, I would say, because certain faces will look better with certain skin tones, and yeah, I mean, that's just this is the way of it. So you pick a face here. This is the one I started on, so I'll take this one for now. Then you can move around the slider a little bit if you'd like to customize it. I have noticed, and this is just a little tip-top pro tip from me, that certain faces can move more and others don't move quite as much. The one I've got right now has some decent movement. Basically, when you move up to like the bigger, the wider and rounder faces here, you actually get to see quite a lot more happening, whereas maybe on this one, it's a bit less. It's slightly more limited. But overall, there's some decent movement here. You can do some alright stuff. I'm usually not a huge fan of using these sliders because they don't allow you to get into the corners. You know, when you come up here between like narrow and round, it's not always exactly between the two, and if you do the customization yourself, you can generally get to where you want to go. But again, it's a good place to start. I find that narrow is definitely quite narrow, and wide is definitely quite a bit wider. And yeah, man, you can do some interesting stuff, and you can probably set yourself up nicely to make a pretty nice face if you jump into that, and then you go through all of these options as well. Speaking of these options, skin. So these games always have a gloss set in. You know, I don't always understand it. I think it's cool. It's nice giving people an option to look a little shiny, a little bit of a healthy glow there. But it's yeah, sometimes it's just a little weird. Like, it's sometimes a little weird having your character being perpetually like sweaty, basically. When they overdo it, it's not so great. This, yeah, it's alright. So you can make your character shiny or not. I usually leave it about halfway because I think it looks most natural. Then they have a recommended section for skin tones. There are a decent number of skin tones here. It's very nice if you notice when I click between these two, you've got a cooler tone and a warmer tone. That's always one of the most important things when it comes to the darker skin tones, and you can go pretty much as pale as you want. When you go onto their full color selector over here, you can go slightly darker, but it's much the same. It's much the same. There isn't a huge amount to do here. I would say it's enough though. Like, you know, Personally, I think it would be cool if you go a little bit, like a teeny bit darker, but overall I think this is cool, and it's a decent selection. Good enough, I'd say. Then here's what I was talking about earlier. I was saying, it's a pity they didn't really do old characters. You can do the wrinkles, and it's cool. It's a decent amount. It actually makes the character look a little older. I am sad that they didn't go a little further with this, but I feel like it's good enough. And I mean, obviously there are other parts of the character you'd want to change if you want to make them older, like the hair, and maybe the wear and tear, scars and markings on the face and stuff like that. But it is nice that they have the wrinkles, that you can actually make your character look a little older if you'd like to. Then we have freckles and spots. We have a bunch of beauty spots over here that you can go through. And then we have a handful of freckle options as well, which are just damn cute. I love the freckles. I'm trying to notice like why this is not covering the whole face. Okay, so that one's not the whole. This is the whole face right here, and that one's not. Even though that picture seems to have it everywhere, it's whatever. Okay, freckles are perfect. We'll put some freckles on because we like them. There we go. And you can set their opacity, right? Then the scars. I have positive things to say about the scars, but also some negative. I will say that while they are realistic looking, they are very faint. It's like this is a long-healed scar. You can just barely make it out. And I do feel like you're playing a video game, man. Give us the extremes. Let us set the opacity to like quadruple what it has here so you can actually see the scars properly. I like this and I want this, but I also want more. Because, I mean, if you set the opacity on this, you can barely see it. When you set it all the way up to the top, you can still barely see it. Some of them are more impactful than others. Some of them look better than others, but it's still not very much. They look really good, but they should be a little darker, a bit more visible maybe. That's like the only minor criticism I have about this. When you're done with the skin options, you jump on through, then you start with the structure. Here we've got the cheekbones. These options, they're pretty much the same as what you had up in the slider, slider for the face up here. And it's good that they have them individually listed here, but just know that you can somewhat do the same stuff up there. That's sort of using all of these if you drag it around. I will say, however, that this is where you want to come if you want to do some stuff that are like a little bit more out there, a little bit more extreme. You will notice that if you pull all of them to one way or the other way, then you will be able to do some pretty crazy stuff. The game doesn't front load that. You know, some games do. Like when you randomize, they give you basically absolutely every option available in there and they pull the sliders randomly around. This is one of those games that when you randomize, it keeps the characters good looking. It makes them look a little weird sometimes, but they're good looking. So these sliders, they are cool and they're impactful, but you have to really work with them if you want to make them stand out and show something interesting or different. The bone structure, the cheeks and the temples, I would say are probably the most impactful of all of them. And you've got to be really careful. I'll show you why. Is because if you look at it from this view, that's a perfectly normal looking face. It looks pretty great. Like, yeah, okay. But when you turn it a little bit, you can see that you've made the cheeks like really gaunt. And it will look, trust me when I say this, it will look weird when you jump into the game. Unless that's what you want, because people have different faces. But just be careful when you go through here. Check the different angles, check the different lighting. Yeah, you guys will figure it out. But again, if you go maximum on one way or maximum on the other way, you will end up with a situation where you might want to double check, maybe even triple check, you know? I'm sorry, I'm looking out for you guys, alright? I'm looking out for you guys. Sheesh. Now, jaw. Tremendous number of jaw options here, which I like, by the way. I always think that when it comes to the structure of the face, the jaw and the jawline it's really one of the most important things you can do. And it's one of those things where you have to really look at it from all the angles, because otherwise you just won't see the impact, you know? But there are a lot of options here, and as with the other ones, if you go all the way to the one side or all the way to the other side, you can really get some pretty extreme results, you know? And it's well worth checking out. I will say that. It's a free game, so you can quite easily jump in there. Like, you can go from a very round, petite-looking face to a pretty square, solid-looking jawline here, and it's cool. It's nice that they give us that option. And again, I am sad that Randomize doesn't have all of it in, and I'm also a little sad that the presets don't have very many different, more extreme looks. Here's our protrusion on the chin, the width. The chin width is... there you go. and then the height. Kind of cool. Yeah, it's a good amount of options. Now we're moving on to the eyes. Once again, you have the presets available here. So as we go through it, you will see this is the entirety. They're giving you a whole different set of eyes, including the shape and the color and everything else. And it's very cool because it's an easy way to do it. It's fantastic. It's cool. Like, because, I mean, I look at this and I like it a lot. I love how big the eyes are. The color is nice. But I like me some blue eyes. So I'll take that one. Yeah, sure. Just like that. Easy peasy. So you get to pick a preset there. But if that's not enough, you can come down here and you can customize it all by yourself. Now, there's an option here to do both sides at the same time or individually. I'm going to do both sides. Just know that the options are the same for both. There are colors here. These are the preset recommended colors. And they are decent. There's no grounded in reality happening here, okay? This is a fantasy video game, which, I mean, it makes me a little sad that they're stuck with just humans here, but it's kind of cool. You can still make yourself an elf. The humanoid body shape and style, it's expected, I suppose. But this is not grounded in reality in any way, shape, or form. You can sort of do whatever the heck you want with your eyes. I mean, technically, in real life, you can do that as well if you use contacts or something, but they give you full RGB here. And honestly, yeah. All I say is, yeah, if you put it up on the right-hand side here, that's like the brightest point, basically, and you move it around, you can see the colors, they're phenomenal. They stand out. Like, if I go for, like, a nice pinky purpley type color here, and I zoom out, like, this is good. This is really good. It's like, I call it the eye test. The eye zoom test, where you should always have a look at the eyes from a distance to see if the glare, the glow, the shading, whatever, sort of detracts from it, ruins it. And in this case, and in this game, absolutely does not. You can see the colors clearly when you zoom out. So I love that about this. The eyes are beautiful. Let's take something, I said I like blue. So let's take like a nice blue-green down here. That's a beautiful color. Like, that's phenomenal. I love it. And let's move on. Eye type. This is the pattern. Now, they did well with the patterns. They're interesting. They're not as extreme as something like Lost Ark, where you have little hearts and skulls and all sorts of other stuff. Again, it's sort of like they're straddling the line, funny enough, between grounded in reality and some like extreme fantasy stuff. There's a lot of cool options here. Like, there's really a lot of cool options. Personally, I kind of like this one. It looks really good. For the purposes of the video, I will take something slightly more simplistic. Let's take this one, and then I'll show you what it looks like when you slide these around. You can set the size all the way down, which I actually kind of dig this because it makes it just look anime. I don't know why. It reminds me of, is it One Punch Man that has eyes like this? I dig it. I think it's great as an option. And you can slide it all the way up. Then you can set the brightness up and down. I always make my character's eyes like this, so I'm happy that this setting exists. Then you can go down to the pupil options, which allows you to do the size, once again, and the width, which makes it a circle versus a slit. It's cool. Yeah, it's cool. Moving on. Keep in mind, once again, that you can do both separately, right? These are the eye's physical options, like the structure of the face in the eye region. There's a lot of cool stuff you can do here. Because of how nice the eyes look, I generally like to go with maximum size, but it does, let's be real, it does look a little weird. Like, sometimes it looks a little out of place. And I will tell you, I do like that you can set they call it the aperture here, but you can set the squint, basically, and you can have sort of like a more mysterious look versus a deer in the headlights kind of look. It's cool, it's nice, and it actually goes further than that. There's an extreme involved here, where you can set the length on the eyes, you can set the eye ducts, which is the inner, and then you can set the slant as well. And then when you get down here, the duct height, if you combine all of this, right? If you combine all of these, you can, let me just show you. It's terrible, but I'm going to show you. You can go pretty extreme with it, right? And you can go pretty extreme the other way, and that's not the end of it. There's more, obviously. There's like, you know, you can sort of, you can do the do. And I say there's more because it's here. Like, look at this. If I do this, so if we push it all to the one side, that's what you look like. I mean, okay, like, sure, I'm sure there are people that look like that out in the world, but you can also go the other way, and yeah. I'm like that Leonardo DiCaprio and Cillian Murphy meme, right? With a dog in the background. God, I love that one. Jeez, it cracks me up every time I see it. What does the dog look like? It looks like this. Anyway, so these options are quite impactful, the eyelid ones, where you can actually move the eyelid quite drastically up and down. Be careful, guys. Use this responsibly because, you know, you are responsible for other people's lives out there in the world as well. So if you walk around a corner, run into some other adventure, and you give them a goddamn heart attack because you look like a hideous amalgamation of weird and stretched shapes of skin and bone, that's on you, man. That's on you. That's on you. So please, please take care. Eyebrows. There are some presets for them over here. Big deal. Big deal. I'll show you why, because let's just look at these two, for instance. Standard, straightforward, cool, neutral. Curious. Wondering what's going on over here. A little hopeful, perhaps. There's such a big difference with such a small change. You can do a lot with the eyebrows. So pay attention to them and pick the ones that suit what you go in for with your character, right? Then here, if you go down, those are the presets. If you go down, you can actually customize them individually. I don't want to say this, but I'm going to. I will admit, I think they could have done a little bit more with the eyebrows. It's like, I don't care too much about eyebrows, but it's not a huge selection, the types that they have here. And the system that they have for like the opacity, while it works all right, it's not great either. I have seen better, but it's okay. It's fine. It's fine. Now, the colors on the eyebrows, I'm not going to spend too long on this. I'm basically going to show you the recommended colors, and I'm going to show you the fact that you can change them full RGB. And the reason I'm not going to spend too long on them is because we will be able to look at the colors when we get to the hair. You're going to want to mix and match. If it's your thing, then make the hair and the eyebrows go together. Oftentimes you can get away with just picking a dark eyebrow, no matter the hair color, and it looks good. But we'll look at the full colors when we get down to the hair, right? Personally, I think they should have had the hair just after the face, before the eyes and everything else, but maybe that's just me that thinks that. So, eyebrow settings. Again, this is kind of important when it comes to the look and feel of your character and their expression and all the rest. There's a lot of changes that can be made here. Details. Here's the thickness. Kind of cool, I guess. The inner height, also big for the expressions. It's like you can go to super concerned if you pull it all the way up there. It's the width, the height. It's quite a lot here, man. Like, it's just kind of intense. It's kind of intense. That's it. Let's go on to the nose. The serving suggestions for the noses. You got some smaller noses here, some bigger noses here, some more smaller noses here, and mostly smaller noses here. I'll say that because I have noticed that they don't really let you go too large with the nose. I don't know, man. Maybe it's just an Eastern thing and I don't understand it. But, dude, I got a massive schnoz. And let's just say I don't think I can quite easily replicate mine in this game. Alright? Yeah, okay. I said it. I said it. Someone had to say it. So, here's the nose details. That's the brow over there at the middle. The bridge. It's the width, so you can't really see it here. There we go. The height on the bone. Like, you can't go full Lady Gaga here, but you can get like halfway there. And it's okay, I suppose. It's alright. There we go. It's okay. Yeah, the nose options are okay. Mouth options, I would say slightly better. There are the presets here to choose from. Always presets. I like that they always have presets. You can have some bigger lips, some smaller lips. The lip customization, I feel, comes into play when you are busy with the makeup and stuff. That's where the real lip customize. That's like the end game of the lips. So the movement on the mouth is pretty good. As I said, it's like definitely better than the nose. That's for sure, right? So there's a lot you can do with it. And you can even set your character to be a little unimpressed. Or like, it's like a baby smirk, basically. And then we have the mouth details. It's the top lip. It's the bottom lip. Upper width and lower width. Yeah. There you go. Moving on. Ears. Not a lot of ear settings, but you can have rounded, you can have elvish, and you can have slightly larger rounded, I think is the difference here. Yeah. Slightly more protruding. It's cool. It's a good selection. I'll go with elvish for now, and I'll show you what it looks like. I like the way that they've made the ears grow in this. Like, when you have big ears, it looks like a big ear. It doesn't just look like the same ear that's been stretched bigger. Because when you go smaller, the shape actually changes on the ear, which is pretty impressive, to be honest. Like, it's a dynamic growth. And you can also change the angle. So you can have it standing out if you'd like. It's cool. Yeah. Ear options are thumbs up, man. They're really, really cool. I like the ear options. Now, moving on to the good stuff. Yeah, the good stuff. We're on makeup. There are some presets here. And honestly, the presets are quite nice. You can't see them all on the lighter skin tone. And I apologize for that, but I'll do my best to show you. There's glitter. As you can see around the eyes, it looks phenomenal. It's really cool. It's one of my favorite parts. The tattoos are slightly less cool. And then the war paint and stuff like that's really nice. But these are the presets that they have. I love that blue. It's beautiful. And they're okay. Yeah. For now, we're going to jump in by ourselves. Let's look at the eyelashes. Eyelashes are interesting in this because, for the most part, you know, you only see it really well in certain situations. I don't want to say in certain light, but like, there's a lot of options here that all look very similar, is what I'm saying. I'll take the basic ones for now. Eyeliner, this is cool. This is really cool. You got an opacity slider. I'll leave it on max for now. You don't get to choose the color here. It's just black. And it looks nice. There's quite a few decent options here to go with. I like these ones at the bottom specifically. They're quite big, quite busy. But yeah, there you go. And then, as I mentioned, the opacity. Pretty straightforward. Then we have eyeshadow. Now this one is more interesting because you get to actually change the colors on it. For the purposes of this video, I will make the one color a bright yellow, something like this. It's not exactly yellow, but it's close enough. And then we'll make the other one a dark. We can do this dark blue that we've got here so that you can see the distinction, the differences. Some of them look better with brighter colors, some better with darker colors. That's up to you to figure out. But they are decent. They're fine. I like the eyeshadow that they have here. Personally, I love this one for whatever reason. I don't know. And then on top of all of that, you get to also set the glitter. Now, the glitter is usually more visible when you set the darkness down. There you go. I love how the glitter looks. I think it can make a really cool looking character. You can also, which I figured out, is take the opacity down all the way and just leave the glitter on, which is just awesome. Like, I'll leave that on for now and I'll just... Well, no, actually, then we won't see it. We won't see the other stuff. But the glitter is really cool. I just take my word for it. And you can put glitter on any of them. Cheek makeup. No glitter on these. This is a bit of a cop-out. I don't know what this even is. You can move it around left and right. You can move it around up and down. Yeah, and you can change the color. Like, I don't know. I don't get cheek makeup, man. I don't get it. It's like I skip this every time. I know you guys don't, but I do. I skip it every time. Lips. So I'm taking the glitter off for now, and I'm going to leave it on this color. And let's look at what we have available. These are the styles. Decent selection. I love the smudged one. And once again, as with the previous options, you can do the opacity, and this time around you can also do the gloss, which definitely helps to make it pop a little. Colors, you got full RGB here, and it's pretty bright. It really does show you the color that you're going for. They have some suggestions here, which are kind of nice, and on top of that, you get to do glitter. Same as before, you can take this off entirely and just have the glitter, if that's what you want, and I like it. Yeah. I like it. Good options. Finally, we have war paint down here. This is war paint and tattoos. There's really not a great selection of tattoos. They got like 5 here. Okay. And they're okay. They're fine, but like they're quite sort of dim. And even on full opacity, they just don't really have much of an impact. So I feel like I skip this and I go straight for the war paint, right? The war paint's done in an interesting way that I've not really seen many times before. In that when they have this full war paint, you actually get to do both opacities separately, which I feel is great because each of these then ends up being multiple different styles. So you can do that opacity or this opacity, and you can do the colors separately. So let's have a look at these. Just keep in mind, once again, you can remove the one or remove the other or remove them both. And that just, it makes it all so much more versatile, you know, because you can do so much more with it, right? I dig it. I'm a big fan. Even though they don't have much in terms of variety, I do like what we have here, and I do think that you can do quite a bit of cool stuff with this. So, yeah, thumbs up. Let's look at an example. So if we choose this one, maybe we choose black for the lines, then we take opacity 2 down, we just leave those lines there. Yeah, that's pretty sick. Or if this one, if you just want like the subtle line at the bottom, or perhaps this one and we invert it, very cool. In terms of colors, you've got a good selection once again. You've got full RGB, you can go literally anywhere you like with it, and I think because of that, yeah, this is where you're going to be creative, right? This is absolutely going to be where you get those creative juices flowing and where you come up with some really cool stuff, right? So I like this system. There's a lot going on here. There's a lot that you can really jump into and master, and I feel like there are going to be a lot of cool characters that come from specifically this area right here. Hair. Ooh. It's always one of my favorite things to do, and they have to go put it right at the damn end. So these are the templates, basically. These are the suggestions that they have for hair. And I'm going to zoom out a little bit for it. If you zoom out, you don't see like the intense up-close detail, but you can see the style better. Or maybe let's look at the detail. The hair is beautiful in this game. There's just the right amount of hair physics. There's just the right amount of detail on the individual strands. These suggestions here are basically just some of the hairstyles that are down here with different colors on. And again, it's a serve-in suggestion. You can do the full customization yourself if you keep going. And we will do that in just a moment. And I'll look at all the different styles available. But the hair, yeah, it's like, I don't think I've seen hair as good as this in a while. I always mention Hogwarts Legacy because I was really taken by their hair. I thought it was really cool. One criticism, I suppose, I'd love more short styles. It's like I'm a broken record where that's concerned. I'd love more short styles. I really would. I think that they did do the short style enjoyers a bit of a disservice with this. There are a few, but they could have had more, especially on the male side of things. So let's go down. Let's pick a color we like, this sort of red color, and then let's look at the hairstyles themselves, right? So I'm going to zoom out a little bit and show you. There's some really nice long hairstyles. There are some decent sort of bob cuts and in-between styles. There are nice braids and slightly more exotic styles, which I'd say this is sort of one of them. Then there are some slightly less kept styles, you know, some slightly crazier, wilder styles. But there's just two short styles. There's this one, and then there's the short one, and that's okay. Like, it's not bad, but man, you know, I don't need to say more than that. I don't need to say more than that. The hair colors, they definitely make things more interesting, and we'll be jumping into that in just a moment. Although I will say that the hair colors are not done quite as well as some other games that I've seen out there. In other words, I really believe that games like Lost Ark's hair color system is better. But hey, this is still fine. We're going to take this one because I really love this hairstyle. There are some recommended colors here that are sort of more what you'd expect from real hair, you know. But don't let this be the end for you. You can jump in here and you can go full with it. You can go full wherever you want, and it's beautiful. It just applies itself so nicely, you know. There are so many nice colors that you can use here. That said, you do get to do a multicolor here. There's a contrasting color, and the way this works is on the different styles, you have the color apply itself at different levels. So let's take like a yellowy sort of brighter color here, and then let's take like a darker color here. It's green. It's green. I struggle with the yellows. I can't really find the yellow in the hair here, but it's unimportant. Then I can show you how the range works. As you can see there, you can choose how much or how little, and then you can also choose the opacity, right? I feel like they're both similar sliders, and I feel like they could have done slightly better with this, but it is definitely good enough, especially given how nice the hair is overall and in general, right? Yeah, right. So, good hair. Like, absolute 100% thumbs up. I love some of these styles. I think they look phenomenal, and they did great with it. Now, we're moving on to the body options. Not a huge amount here, unfortunately, and they don't let you hide your armor to actually see what you look like underneath. You can use this. There's a little slider here that can sort of go wherever you want. I'm not a big fan of this because, like, basically, if you want to go for slim and short, and you go in between here, it's like you can't go for the shortest and the slimmest at the same time, which bothers me a little bit, but there are still some decent options. And you can set your height separately here, and you can go, like, basically, you know, if you go for slim and then you pull it down to short, that's the way you'll do it. But this thing, it sort of gives you the wrong read on it, if you know what I'm saying, right? So that's how it works. Upper body, this is probably better if you just go for the custom options anyway and use the sliders. You can change the head size, because why not? Then neck width, neck length, shoulder position. Gotta have that good posture. Shoulder size. And shoulder width. Yeah. Chest and arms. The torso. It's kind of a weird one, this. Bicep size. Because why not? You usually can't see what's going on, though. Forearm size. Hands. So I feel like this was sort of just an afterthought, but it's still cool. It's still okay. Lower body, you got the waist here. Pelvis. It's the posterior dimensions as well. It's all together here, these two. Thigh size. That's specifically just the thighs. And then the calf size all the way at the bottom down there. And that's it. Your final option is to choose the costume that you start with. This, I think I can confirm, is actually the costume that you start with. I thought that this was just a way to see your character differently here, but it seems like you actually do have this costume when you start the game. So I want to say pick wisely. take the one that you like the most, but I mean, it's like, you know how these games are. You won't be in this outfit for too long. They do have a decent selection here, though. I feel like it would have been cool if there was one more that was like sort of closer to a caster, if you know what I'm saying. But overall, this is nice. This is my favorite one by far, and it's more than enough. Now, with all of that out of the way, we've done what we could for this character. She looks great. She's basically ready to go, right? When you proceed from here, then you play a little bit, you enter your name, boom, 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 you're done, right? But we're going to randomize first, because that's the final step. And let's see what it gives us. As I mentioned, I feel the randomization could have been better, because it is once again just spitting out like a bunch of really attractive characters. it's like no matter what you do, the characters actually look pretty great. I don't think I've seen a character where I was like, oh wow, this is kind of different. You know, this one scares me a little bit. No. So even the randomize, while it does give you a good idea of the options available and some of the extremes you can go to in terms of like maybe colors and stuff like that, it's a very tame randomization system. I will say that. So if you're looking for the extremes, then you're going to want to go to like Reddit or to a specific website or right here on YouTube, and you're going to want to find those character designs there, because that's where they will be hiding. Right? See here, for instance, they went a little further with the ears, but I mean, that's fine. Like, it's not really like you're making a hideous character here or anything. It's just the ears are bigger. It's weird to me, is all I'll say, is that they have all these cool sliders and they don't really slide them for the randomize. But that said, I think we have approached the end. I really like this character creation system. There are some smaller things that hold it back, I feel, that make it that it's not the best character creator I've ever seen. However, I will just say that the models that we have here in this system are just absolutely breathtaking. And, you know, in terms of human or humanoid customization and creation, this is very close to the top. It would be cool if there were a few more hairstyles. It would be cool if the skin tones could go a little more extreme. There are a few things, you know. It would be cool if they included more in the randomize, but like for real, it's a pretty great system, and I don't have much to complain about here. I know some people have complained that it's just human characters and nothing else. Like, come on, man. What the heck? They chose the game to be like this. This is what the game is. We're playing Throne and Liberty. You are playing a role in this game, and the role just so happens to be a humanoid character. Anyway, hey, pretty cool. Let me know what you guys think. You can, as always, check back here soon for more. Give this one a like, share it, and do all that other good stuff. You can find my links below, my Ko-fi page and my Twitch channel, and all the rest. And with that, I will leave you. Enjoy Throne and Liberty, dudes. Happy that.